Peace, 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 IG. Daniel KC1 NCF tapping in with you. We are live, and tonight's daily survival tip number 14 is keep your preps private. Keep your preparations private. It's not everybody's business, and it's in your best interest to keep private the various ways in which you are preparing yourself, your family, your community for survival. It's not going to be, a 100% like secretive thing, but it's very, very important that you are very careful with how you disseminate information, how you showcase and or how you go about handling what's called your OPSEC or operational security when it comes to your preparedness plans. It is not everybody's business, what you got, where you got it, how you got it, why you got it. You need it, your family needs it, your community needs it to get you through whatever situation or circumstance may befall you. It's not for everyone's consumption. And so, there are many pillars in survival and preparedness, and there are many, many, many things that I can tell you and that others will tell you that you need to focus on when it comes to survival and preparedness. But there's basically 5 things that you'll always hear pointed out above others. That's water, food, shelter, medicine, and security. Security and defense. Those kind of wrap into the same thing. Water, food, shelter, medicine, and security. Now, all of those can be gone into tremendously, very deeply. What we're talking about tonight falls under the security or defense department, if you will. Everything that you're doing, every step you take, whether it's just storing up water in your home, whether it's, buying extra batteries, getting a flashlight, you may just be getting simple things that are everyday, that people carry all the time. Things that, to most of us, most people have a flashlight in home, but you're buying it for the purpose of preparation. It's extremely important to understand that if you are embarking on that road, on that journey to preparedness, that you are amongst a very few. And when and if a situation or circumstance arises in which you have to spring into action and call into play the things that you've put aside for preparedness, there are going to be many other people who do not have those things, that are not in the same position as you. And the situation and circumstances that you will share will bring out of others something that's not, it's always there. We just don't realize it because of the modern conveniences. But that base instinct of survival, right? It won't take long to kick in. Things hit the fan tomorrow within 48 hours. If there was a citywide blackout, if there was a regionally wide blackout, if there's a nationwide blackout, or some other large scale event that, went beyond the bounds of just your neighborhood or just your city, panic and chaos will set in fairly quickly once the people realize that this is something of a greater magnitude than what they've have experienced in the past. And when that happens, those who have not put aside food, water, emergency supplies such as first aid, medical things, those who have not gotten their shelters in a condition of security that, they could hunker in and stay out of the way, those people will become, to some degree or another, desperate to get all those items I'm speaking about. Look at the panic buying that happened with the toilet paper. Living here in New England, we see every time there's a snowstorm or a nor'easter, as they call them, forecast, the grocery stores get packed and certain things are depleted off the shelves almost every time. Your batteries, your water, different canned foods and shelf-stable foods just disappear. And in other parts of the country, different parts of the year, for different reasons, they see the same things because of what they experience normally in their region. If they will, if it's floods, if it's a tornado season, if it's the hurricane season, if it's the wildfire season in their area, they experience this to some degree at various times throughout their time in whatever area they're in, right? And so we've seen it, and we've seen it happen before, or again and again. We've seen what looting looks like just because of political fallout, and then next thing you know, a regular person just going to get their basic necessities can't, because the stores have been depleted or whatever have you. When people are unable to get what they need from stores, when people are unable to get what they need from where they're so used to getting it from, these modern convenience stores and other places that we shop, the next is to look for wherever else you can find it. People need necessities. People need water. People need food. People need shelter. People need security in order to survive, or at least have some degree of a peace of mind that they don't feel like if they don't have it, they're basically in trouble. The second a person feels like they're going to go without unless they take drastic action, and they know they can't get it from where they typically get it from, i.e. stores or whatever have you, those who have it in the community are going to be targets. What we're talking about tonight, keep your preps private, is how you keep yourself from becoming a target, at least for a period of time, until you can, really get a hold on what's happening. So it kind of looks like this. Things hit the fan tomorrow. Those who are prepared and are paying attention to what's happening will kind of see the signs of, okay, yeah, this is going down. Everybody in my household, we hunkering down. We already know what it is. We're not going anywhere. We're not calling anybody. Maybe the phone lines are down. We're not doing anything. We're sitting in the house. We have water. We have food. We have medical supplies. We have all kind of other resources, right? And the others are out there wreaking havoc, causing chaos. And I'm talking again. I'm not talking about like what happened to George Floyd, and there was protests and riots and people were looting stores, but it wasn't like it was something that was for a time, and you knew it would be just for a time. We're talking about, again, large scale things, and there's a question mark of when things are going to go back to normal, if at all. Once those stores are depleted, all bets are off. There are going to be people who will lose their lives. And really a lot of people will succumb, because this is what happens in the first few hours, in the first day or so, the first 24 to 48 hours of a collapse. There will be a lot of energy expended by people who don't, or who have not prepared to try to get prepared. And unwittingly, they're going to be, again, using a tremendous amount of energy trying to get prepared last minute. And that energy is going to have to be replaced by whatever little food that they do have. So the energy they put into trying to prepare will suck up and cause them to consume what little bit they do have that they might have in their refrigerator from their normal shopping schedule. And they'll burn through that food fairly quickly. Not having practiced living with less resources, they'll burn through that fairly quickly. And when that happens and they get desperate, it's not going to take long. We're talking about inside of a week, many people will lose their lives to starvation, but not just because of the normal drought or starvation, but because the excess amount of panic and energy that will go into it. People are going to drain themselves and become very weak and very desperate. People will resort to things that we shouldn't resort to that will lead to the loss of life. I don't want to dwell on no doom and gloom type stuff, right? But I just want to paint this picture. When that happens and people die off, those who survive are going to be those who already have prepared something for themselves and actually were able to implement their preparedness plans successfully. And then there's another group of people that will survive that are the lucky group of people who, they have always had some form of street knowledge or book knowledge or a combination of thereof, and have always been able to just meet and overcome obstacles. There are plenty of people who are just that resilient, that they weren't prepared per se, but they're always able to navigate and get through. There are people like that, that will make it through. And then there's a third class of people that will make it. There's really four, but there's a third class of the common citizen, if you will, that will make it. And that's going to be those who, once they realize what's going on, have it in their fiber to take from others that which others are not willing to necessarily give. There will be a lot of lives lost in that as well. Peace, Sister Lisa. Thanks for happening. There will be a lot of lives lost in that part. And so as people begin to thin out, and a week goes by, and then 2 weeks go by, and really isn't take much longer than that, but let's say 2 to 3 weeks go by, and people familiar, like, hold on, I ain't seen so-and-so, I ain't seen Brother Daniel, I ain't seen, whoever in their community that has been preparing. People know where you live. People know what you do. People know where you at. And when they don't see you, and they're not sure, or if they do see that, your residence look like it's pretty much calm and collected, they haven't seen you, or if they have seen you, you didn't look like you were panicked, you didn't look like you were worried, then the next thought is, you know what? They got something. They know something. And that's when you become a target. So it's best to keep your preps private. Everyone doesn't need to know every time you go out and buy something new. Everyone doesn't need to know that you got this and that you got that. You're going to become a target. You're going to become potentially a resource, though. There's ways that you can go about this prepping thing to get yourself in a position to be a resource to your community, to where, okay, yes, to some degree you may have a target on your back, but if you position yourself correctly in your community ahead of time, meaning build or paint your image within your community as one that the community respects, carry yourself in such a manner that when people see you, they see life. When people see you, they see honor, respect. They see a stand-up person who they would rather defend than to bring harm to. And in that situation or circumstance, if you are preparing, you may be in a position to bring some degree of ease, some degree of order, some degree of hope, some degree of, unity to your community. And if you're preparing properly, you may even be able to set something up, which I have to come back and talk about at a later time, to where you could give out care packages, if you will, to some degree, something that will help those in your community to have a degree up into the survival world. Small things, you may buy seal lock keys, something that you can give away. They cost like $4. Buy some of them, and only when necessary. So I had to do another live about it, but when necessary, when it makes sense, you'll give people, not giving the person a meal, but giving the person something they can use to go get a meal, giving the person the knowledge or the tool or the resource that they can go get a meal for themselves, that they can go reap something from the environment on their own. So you're not going to give them the fish. You might give them a fishing rod. You might give them some fishing lines, some fishing hooks, and a stick, right? Then say, here you go, here's some canned meat, here's some canned fish. Because then it's like, okay, well, he might have more where that comes from. But if I give you the fishing rod, and if I give you the fishing line, if I give you the fishing hook, you might go to the water and be able to fish yourself. Hey, you might bring me back some fish in the process. I'm not going to be handing out bottles of water so much as I might be handing out water purification tablets. Listen, there are lakes and streams and there are water sources out here somewhere. Take these few tablets and get your family some water. This is really, something that I had on hand from XYZ. They don't need to know that you had a bunch of it or something like that. This is just something that, I had laying around, and, I feel like you could use it. This is an everyday thing. I gave you what I could afford to give you, what I could spare. May God be with you. And you want to do that away from your home. You don't want to hand them that in the vicinity of your home. You want to make that transaction away from wherever your food or water is stored. So that's why I have to do another live about that. 'Cause you have to be real careful about how you go about helping people in a post-collapse world, so that you don't further put a target on your back. But suffice it to say that, there are two ways to go about it, three ways it can go. One way to go about it is to completely isolate yourself and your family, and to have what you have and live off of it. Live off the protocols, live off the stores and the preps that you put in place, and try your best to stay out of anyone's eye, anyone's mind. You don't want to exist at that time. As much as you can, you want to stay out of people's consciousness. And then there's the other way, which is to simply not care. Have what you have and just go at it and run the risk of being exposed. Even when it comes down to family, your cousins, your uncles, your aunties, your parent, your children. If your children don't live with you, they don't need to know the full extent of your preps, unless you're literally including them in the numbers when you're counting your food. Okay, I got 90 days worth of food. Is it 90 days worth of food for you, or is it 90 days worth of food for the people in your household, or is it 90 days worth of food for any of your family members that come by? Because if it's any of your family members that come by, that's a lot of food. You must have a pretty big house. No. The best bet is that you cover you and your household, and you give family members the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding, the advice, the direction to now. I'm talking about give it to them now, before the need, so that they can go and do something for themselves and make it very clear and abundantly clear. You need to get yourself and your household in order, because when things hit the fan, me and my household is shut down. Don't come to my door. Don't come to, none of that. If you have a community, and members of your family in your community, this should be a principle within your community. As a community, you all have resources, access to resources. You have, common goals and interests, protocols and things that this group is going to adhere to in order to increase the survivability of each individual family, person, household, or whatever have you. But each household should have its bare minimum that is meant for that household. We have a community, if we have a community of 10 families, each family should have enough food in their home for them to last 90 days, right? And then maybe there's a pot that everyone throws in something here and something there to help redistribute amongst the community. Maybe you're sharing knowledge, information, understanding. Maybe you're all coming together as a defensive force for your homes and for your community and your neighborhood. Maybe you all are coming together to share and buy things in bulk. Okay, listen, we're all gonna focus on emergency supplies next month, so come with your money and we're gonna buy this in bulk so we can get it a deal. And that's how you're prepping together, but your actual preps are separate. The other 9 families in your community don't need to know where your stuff is at. They're aware that you are in on that deal, but they are as well. And this is why it's kind of safe there to a degree, because even you have to be careful there, because it's like, hey, we're all I know they have something because we all went in on the same order. I know they have something, so everyone knows in your community that everyone else in the community is doing something, that has something. But I don't need to know where your stuff is stored. I don't need to know how you're doing this, how you do. I don't need to know all of that, and you have to keep that in mind. Most of us have pretty big families. There's no way possible I could store enough things in my home. If I had the money to, in the place I live right now, I don't have the space to store up that much. And if I had the space and the money to, it wouldn't make sense to store that much. Unless, again, everyone was contributing according to an agreed upon scale or an agreed upon division of resources and contribution. It's something that everyone agrees to. Okay, this is what it is. Maybe there's a central location or something like that. Who knows? And then it's like, okay, we can all take from the central location, but we're going to ration it amongst the entire family. If someone has that kind of money, or a few members in your family have that kind of money to make that kind of thing happen, to secure the whole family, then okay. But realistically, I have too many cousins. I have too many aunts and uncles and siblings and other surrogate family or whatever have you to really do that. That's a hard one to deal with, but it's something that has to be dealt with, because before you know it, your 90 days worth of food is going to disappear very quickly if all your family shows up to your door. Hey, yo, cuz got us because cuz has been preparing. Hey, yo, bro's got us because bro's been preparing. Yeah, but I've been preparing for my household and for my family. And so it's a very touchy subject here, but you have to be very careful, very, very careful, even with family. Make it very clear, if your family is aware of your prepping and preparing, that they know this is for my household. Bro, cuz, sis, uncle, auntie, you need to start getting things together in your household. You need to do it, because everyone can't come here when things hit the fan. Everyone cannot come here when things hit the fan. I don't care. And if you let one in, how are you gonna pick and choose? What if 10 different family members show up within a week? Who you turning away? Who you keeping? No, it's best to actually turn each of them away. And again, like I said, maybe you have a care package for each member of your family that involves maybe a Silcock key where they can use to access water from different types of water spigots. Maybe that bucket includes a water filter. Maybe that bag includes, water purification tablets. Maybe it includes some dehydrated food. Maybe a couple of jars of some canned food. Maybe it includes a very simple first aid kit. Like I said, some fishing line and fishing hooks that they can go fishing with. Maybe that pack includes a small flashlight, things to get them started. Like, listen, here you go. Here's a flashlight. Here's some stuff that you can go fish with. Here's some, very small emergency supplies for each member of your family. And like, listen, take this and stretch it and make the most of it. Go fishing today, cuz. Figure out what you're gonna do. Get to them before the need of this arises, right? But this is what you really have to consider. I can't feed my entire family. I don't know who to accept to turn away. You know what I mean? That's a very tough one. I have multiple siblings. I have a mother. I have a father. I have, cousins, aunties, uncles. Just keep it real. Some of them see this video. It is what it is. At the end of the day, they know what I do. Hit me up. It is what it is. You have to be very straightforward with people when this topic comes up. So daily survival tip number 14, keep your preps private as much as you can. Don't broadcast what you're doing. You might see me and I'm on here and I put myself on the chopping block to a degree, because I'm talking about getting prepared. So in others' minds, well, he must be preparing, right? He must have something. Okay, try me if you want to. I'm not that. I'm not the one. But at the same time, you probably notice I don't walk around with my camera showing the inside of my home. I mentioned what city I'm from. That's easy to figure out. That's nothing. But you have to come find me. I don't videotape me outside of my building, or where I live. I don't broadcast that kind of information. But even still, anybody really, I can find anybody on here, and anybody on here can find me. It is what it is. At the end of the day, though, I take that risk because I am very confident in my ability to protect myself. So run up if you will. Praise be to God, right? But no, for real, at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you and your household, and that is to protect your preps. Again, now, while we're in the eye, I always say things are calm. Really, we're in the eye of the storm. We're in the middle of a storm. It may seem calm, but we're in the eye of a storm. While we're in this, is the time to enlighten some of your family and let them know, listen, don't get rocked to sleep. Look what's happened with the prices. Look what's happening in the political landscape. Look what's happening in the social landscape. Look what's happening with this whole experiment that's going on. You need to be doing something. Straight up. Give them that option. and then stand firm. So I want to thank you all for tapping in. We got Q Minus in the building. We got Lucky Lisa in the building. I appreciate your time and your attention. Keeping your preps private. Daily survival tip number 14. Daniel Casey, 1NCF, signing out. Peace.